Hello, listeners. Welcome to the second iteration, you could say, of the GloomORG podcast. We are here to talk about the cast of our sixth season. I am joined by Leah, the fan favorite and fallen angel of GloomORG Black Flag.
Hello, happy Friday and happy weekend to everyone. And yes, like O said, we're gonna talk about the cast, have like a cast assessment, talk about everyone and just how we think about the season. Unfortunately, Connor could not make it, but it is okay. He will be with us in our future podcast. So yes, so we're gonna actually talk about the returnees first. Since you all probably have like some you know them pretty well. So we're actually going to start with Pablo. So take it
Mm-hmm.
away.
Pablo was the runner-up of our first ever season. Pablo is an interesting player. I am so excited to have him back. I think that he's a great confessionalist. He's very entertaining. He has a lot on his mind, and I think it's always a joy just to read his confessionals. He's done voice confessionals a few times. And as far as playing goes, I am also very excited to see how he performs because if you don't know, Pablo is statistically the lowest performing runner up we've ever had in that he lost in a 6-1 vote. And he's the only in which was it's the only that was the biggest divide you could say we've ever had in FTC before. And he knows that, and he strives to improve from that. And I think he's coming in with a lot of fire in his heart. And I'm excited to see how he tries to redeem himself.
Yeah, I actually agree with that. Because and during his first season, he basically played like a very loyal game, and he was next to Bo. Shout out to Bo. Which again, did mention already that he did lose in a 6-1 vote. I do see that Pablo does know why he did lose, and I think he will actually, you know, I could kind of see Pablo be like a little, you know, I don't want to say like a villain, but more of like I think he'll play like a little bit more of a cutthroat game this time
Mm-hmm.
around. I still think he'll still be pretty loyal, but to a certain extent. So I think it's actually really cool to see him play, and obviously because again, he is the original runner up. It's been like almost I think it's been almost like a year since the first season of GloomORG started,
Yeah, we're
so
sort of
I
getting
think it's
there.
kind of cool.
9 months.
Yeah, we're almost getting there. Yeah, dang, 9 months.
Yeah.
But yeah, but still, it's a lot of history. So I'm really excited to see Pablo play.
Me too. And yeah, as far as I think he definitely has a very good grasp on the game, and I think he is a stronger player than a lot of people give him credit for. I
Mm,
think that one thing that Pablo is going to have to overcome is obviously the fact that he's going to be playing with newbies, and
mm,
he is someone who almost none of these people know. I think none of them, or okay, a few do know him from prior relationships, but most of these people
mm,
have no idea who he is. And one thing that
mm,
Pablo does have trouble with sometimes is bonding with people, creating good
mm,
bonds with people, and I think sometimes he also has a hard time, I think, articulating his thoughts. But
mm,
if the new players and everyone around him is willing to listen to him, I think he could become a
mm.
very powerful player. Because again, I think he's got a great head on his shoulders for the game.
Right. I do think the same way as well. I think that Pablo, kind of like what you're already saying too. I think like once he does have like some people where or like some players in the game where he will like actually like listen to him and want to work with him, I think I can like actually see like we'll probably see some ideas coming off of him. So I don't know, I'm just like really excited to see him play again. So
Hmm. I think Pablo's going to go far, honestly, but time will tell. Let's move on to Fisher, Fisher's one that you know well, Leah, so you can take the lead on this one.
Yes. So Fisher, he played the same season that I played, which was the third season of Black Flag. He's also a run up, and he lost 5-2 to Tanner, which again, shout out to Tanner for the win, obviously. So I was actually in an alliance with Fisher during this season, and at first um I feel like Fisher was in a pretty good position as far as kind of being like the person that people like, as far as like a contender. I do think as the game did go along, unfortunately he did get a bit busy, so his social game did kind of went down a bit, and that did kind of play a part of why he did lose. But I do think this time around, I think we'll probably get like the new improved Fisher. So I'm very excited. I think he plays like a very good social game, and I do think that he does relate to people, which just knowing him, like he like when you like actually get to know Fisher, like he's very, very cool and very, very down to earth. So I can kind of see him going far this game as well.
Yeah, for sure. I definitely think that. I also think Fisher is likely going to fare pretty well with some of the newer players, because I think Fisher, again, like you were saying, he has this very kind and down to earth demeanor, and he's kind
Mm,
of non threatening, and I think that's something that I think Fisher is going to do a great job managing his threat level as a returnee. Um,
mm,
and yeah, I don't know. I mean, I guess time will tell. I only saw Fisher play in Black Flag, and
mm,
Fisher played a very kind of simple and very loyal game, very old school style
mm.
game, and I think that's similar to Pablo. I think that's why he didn't end up winning the metaphorical $1 million of that season. So,
Right.
but so yeah, I don't know how he plays otherwise, but I know he's improved. So
Mm.
he's another one that I think I would not be surprised if he did very well this season.
Yeah, I'll kind of talk a little bit about my experience with us playing in Echo as well. I'm gonna go into depth, but I do think he played a good game in there as well, especially because he is like he's like a very competitive person when it comes to like challenges, and he has won a few. There has been times in Gloom where he would basically be like second place like the majority of the challenges. Like he never won a challenge, but like you can definitely tell like he is like really good. It's just like it's always that one person who's like just a little bit better than him. So I do think as far as challenges, he could actually do well. I can actually see him win some immunities if he actually does go far in the game. I guess going back to I guess like him being loyal. I know like in like he is tend to be that person to kind of like feels a little bad if he does actually backstab someone, but I do think I'm hoping like maybe this time around, maybe if he does, it'll be like, yeah, he'll feel bad, but it's like, okay, it's for a reason. So I don't know. Again, I'm biased because again, I did play with Fisher, but I, I don't know. I'm really excited to see him play.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah. So let's move on to our third and final returnee, who just played in our most recent season, The Void Above. We have Justin, who in probably one of the closest FTCs we've ever had. Though then again, a lot of
Mm.
our FTCs have been pretty close. Justin lost against his ally Conrad in a 4-3 vote. Justin, and I feel like a broken record because I've said this about all of them, but he's the one
Mm.
that I really think is going to do very well this season. I think
Mm.
again, I think he also has a very friendly and fun demeanor. Once you can get
Mm.
past his profile picture, he is very friendly and very and just a really likable, a really good guy. You just
Mm.
even just talking to him over text, you know he's a good guy, and
Mm.
I think that's gonna resonate. I don't think he's gonna be the type to get targeted because he's a returnee. I think people are gonna
Mm.
like him.
Yeah, I do agree with the profile picture. I think if you do go past it though, I think like once you actually get to know Justin and even like as like a spectator last season. Um, I don't know. I just really enjoy watching him play, and then kind of like what I already said. I think it's like a pattern. Like they're all very like they all have like great social games, and I think Justin is no different. He almost like again what O said, he almost won. Like
Mm-hmm.
it's like pretty much impressive. We almost had a comrade. So but no, but I do think as far as Justin, especially because he got out of um like a season of GloomORG like a few months ago. I can see him doing very well. I know he's very passionate to play, just based on his confessionals alone. And I do think that he kind of knows that he did well, but he knows that he just needs to kind of like a little bit more of a oomph. And I think if he does that, like if he continues to do what he did last season and just do just a little more, I think he'll do like very well this game. And to be honest, I don't know. I just really like him, but he also had like I think with the newbies and because of them not really know each and every one of them, I don't think like them being a returnee does play a big factor. I think for some of them, like if they knew them from the past like games, like sure, but I think as far as like their groom experience, I don't think it'll play a part. I don't think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah, I kind of agree. I think that all three of our returnees are very likable people. So while I guess I can't necessarily say for sure that they're all gonna make it far, um, I think they will, but you can't say for sure.
Mm,
I am pretty sure that we're not going to see any sorts of ooh, I want to vote this person out because they've played before and they're threatening to me. I think they're all too
mm,
likable for that. Unless we
right.
have somebody that's super aggressive, and maybe we can get into that later on. But another
Right.
thing that I want to mention before we get into all these is that we really made a point to cast a lot of newbies. A lot of the other players that are playing have never played orgs before or have played very
Mm,
few. I think there's only two people here that have like there's only two newbies to GloomORG that have like a lot of experience. So I
right.
think
Yeah.
so that's kind of why I'm emphasizing the fact that emphasizing at least the existence of the possibility that we might have targeting based on threat level of being a returnee. But again,
Mm.
I think they're all nice people, and I think they're going to be able to dodge that.
Oh yeah, for sure. I definitely agree. So I don't know. I can wait. I do think like kind of what you said. I think as if someone is like aggressive and say like, oh, what's the target the returnees, which I feel like sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. I think it just depends on the cast itself. But I think with this cast, I think it'll be exciting regardless, whatever it
Mm-hmm.
happens. So yeah, but speaking of that, let's head to the newbies now. Where again Pablo, Fisher, and Justin will play against. So the first one we do have is Addy.
Mm-hmm. So Addy is one that I think well, my impression of Addy when I read through her questions and also when she applied is that she didn't stand out a ton, but not necessarily in a bad way. It was more in a way that I think
Mm,
she seems very quiet, or not quiet, but
mm,
very, how do I say this? She's very likable and very calm. I guess I get a calming vibe from her, and I
mm,
think that is a serious asset in this game. I think she's going to be great at bonding with people. I
mm.
think, and honestly, I think we might have a contender for a second Addy in GloomORG that performs very well.
Yes, which I'm actually pretty excited about. Yeah, and I think too because like on her bio, like she likes she's been watching Survivor for as long as it's been around. So I do think even though this is her first work experience, I can kind of see that based on the show itself that she knows, just like go under the radar. And normally, like if you know how to play that under radar pretty well, that you can go far. But yeah, Addie's like said as well, like her I think her like when she did apply, she did stand out, but not like at like the way that she is like a flashy person. It's like more of knowing like, okay, I know like at first I just need to just, get along with people and then just like, kind of go with the flow. And I do think if she does it very well, I can see her going far. And I totally forgot she is a second Addy. So I think, maybe you need to have your name needs to be Addy in order to do well. So I hope she does well this game.
Yeah, for sure. And then we move on to Ari, who is the youngest player in this game, and one of two minors. And it was actually for this reason, a little bit of behind the scenes, that I was a little bit hesitant to cast her because I knew we had so many adults, and I wasn't sure how well a 15-year-old would fare. But I was such a big fan of Ari. I think she's such a lovely person that we ended up going with her and bringing her along for the ride. I think that she is going to have a sort of unique perspective as a younger person, and I think that her sweetness is kind of going to maybe perhaps even bond her with some of the other people. I mean, it's possible that she could end up on the outs if, say, she's not active enough, but I think if Ari is present, I think she will do just fine, and I think she'll be able to get over that hump um, of being on the younger side. I'm not sure how amazing of a player she is, obviously, because we haven't seen that yet. But she describes herself as pretty familiar with Survivor, and she knows the basics of the game. And I mean I would say when I first played in org, I was one of the youngest people there. I was one of two minors as well. I was about the same. I didn't know Survivor super well. I knew the basics, and I was able to learn, and I ended up making it very far. So the same could happen there. There is definitely room for learning if she gets in with the right group of people that look out for her.
Yeah, I agree with that. Um, I do think at least like when we did first heard of Ari as far as her when she did apply, I would never guess she was 15. So I feel like she's actually a bit mature for her age, which I think she would actually like fit well with everyone else despite her age. And I do think that with that, I think people do kind of at times do kind of I guess like when it comes to age, like obviously you would want to work with people like around your age because like you would have like some similarities. But I do think sometimes people do like overlook those. But I do think that, as I don't know, she does seem like someone that will go far. She even like said that she wanted to like kind of play like Bob who won the ball and obviously he is a winner. So I do think she said that she wants to be honest and be a truthful person. And, typically, the heroes do typically go far. I feel like people always give like heroes, like, I guess a little dirt, but I do think she will go pretty far. I do think she is pretty smart. So I do think if she does adapt with everyone, just no matter what her age is, I do think she'll actually do well this season.
Yeah, I think it'll just be getting over that hump of possibly not fitting in super well. Um,
Mm,
Sorry about the background noise if my microphone is picking that up. And I don't know. Yeah, I think she'll go far if she can get over that initial hump.
right.
Um, so let's move along to Blair, another one of these semi newbies where Blair has experience with orgs in the past, but has not actually played a Discord org ever before. What are some of
Hmm.
your initial perceptions of Blair, Leah?
Oh yeah. So with Blair, so basically they started with Tumblr as far as like their games. So they did some Big Brother games and also they did 2 seasons of Tumblr Survivor. So the first one they were 19th place and then the second time they were fourth. So I kind of can't relate because I started off with Twitter and now I'm here with Discord. So I do think because of that, I do think Blair does have some experience from orgs, even though it's not like Discord orgs. So I do think like they will do well. I do think it's kind of funny because like their strategy going to the game is not go home first, and kind of like I don't know, like already like I'm thinking like the Sandra vibes, like as long as it's not me, and I do kind of like someone like that. I do think because of the experience they do have, um, I can kind of see them doing pretty well as well, and I don't know. I do think and I mean, I think it's like kind of cool as well that we should bring up that they're like non-binary as well, because like we're trying to obviously make sure that it's the same with like male female like that ratio. But I do think with that, and it's also their age as well. I don't know. I think like with the experience they have, like I think they'll be okay. It'll be like an adjustment from like Tub War, but I don't think it'll be like much different than what they did before.
Yeah. I mean, so Blair is I have kind of a hard time reading Blair. I think they definitely understand the game, but they also
Mm,
literally said they don't have what it takes to win in their confessional. And
mm,
I'd love to be proven wrong because orgs also ignite fire in people. Oftentimes a person
mm,
ends up being a lot different and acting a lot differently than they planned. But from what we're
mm,
seeing, I'm worried that Blair might not put enough into this game, um, and and I guess I get a little concerned that paired with the fact that they might not be outwardly friendly enough, it could
mm.
put them on the outs. And again, I'd love to be wrong, but Blair is one that if I had to pick someone that I didn't think what was going to go very far, Blair would be one of them. Again, I'd love to be proven wrong here. But yeah.
Yeah. Because like yeah, I do agree with that. I guess like in my experience, when I at least see people spectate, the people who would say that typically do go far. So I'm
Mm-hmm.
just I'm just like hoping for the best for Blair in this case.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I definitely don't think they're gonna be like a bad player. I just worry they
Right.
could have a hard time in the beginning.
Yeah, that's fair.
So then we move on to DeeDee, which is a tough one because as of recording this, DeeDee has not yet completed their questions, despite multiple reminders. Um, so DeeDee is very difficult to describe. DeeDee, they have played orgs before, I believe two, and their placements are 20th and fourth, as far as I know. So they've seen both sides of the coin. DeeDee's
Mm,
someone that I have been wanting to play. I've been wanting them to play GloomORG for a long time, and it hasn't worked out
mm,
until now. And like I said, it's a little hard to describe their personality. I mean, honestly, the best way I could describe DeeDee is that they're kind of kooky. You know,
mm,
they have a very they have a very kind of wacky attitude about them, I guess you could say. But the
mm,
thing is, it's very charming. They're silly and they're
mm,
hilarious. And I mean, honestly, them getting voted out 20th, I spectated that. It was an absolute sham, and it wasn't even their fault.
mm,
People love DeeDee, and I think especially on a cast like this, because just from a lot of the other people on this cast, I think DeeDee is going to stand out in a very good way. And
mm,
I think as long as they're here and active, because again, we haven't we're having a little bit of a hard time getting them to answer their questions. If they show up, they I think will make it deep with this cast. I think again, I keep saying I think or implying at least that I think social game is going to be king on this season. I think that there's going to be a lot of emotions at play, and it's going to be a lot about who can bond the best with others, who's the most likable. I
mm,
think my prediction for this season is that that's going to determine a lot. And I think with that
mm.
in mind, again, if DeeDee shows up, I think they'll do great.
Right. Fingers
They know the
crossed
game too.
about that.
Yeah, I forgot to mention they do also they're a very good strategist. They have a good strategic mind behind all
Mm.
their kind of behind their kind of un, unusual, unique demeanor.
See, yeah. But yeah, everyone and I don't really know much about DeeDee, so unfortunately I can't say too much. But at least from like the production team, they love DeeDee, so I'm hoping to actually see DeeDee play. Um, based on what O is even saying, like that's like the player that I would love to see play. So hopefully they'll, you know, do their questions soon.
So next on the list we have Donut. What do you think about Donut, Leah?
So Donut, so I can tell that Donut is a very like super fan of Survivor. He did watch all 43 seasons, and he basically considered himself as Amanda, because for his last orgs, he made it to the final three times in a row, which that is very hard to do, by the way. Um, I'm actually pretty excited to see Donut play. I typically am not like a fan of like villain, like people playing as villains, but I do think like at least like based on like what he's given us so far, as far as like what happens in his past games, people would just give him information and he would not even do anything. Like they really trust him enough to do so and just kind of use that information and for his and use that to his advantage. So I do think if he does continue to do that, I think he will actually do well. I do wonder, not like it matters, but I do wonder if he at least did win those games because I do think um if people do trust him enough but like he did so much just for him to like fall short, like I do think he'll do far, but I do want to know like does he have enough to make it to the end and actually win? But I do think Donut would be a very fun personality. I do like like it looks like they're actually like take time to like as far as the professional and like kind of give it their all. But I really am excited to watch Donut play, and not because he loves Black Flag.
Yeah, I'm curious about the if he's won before as well, because that would definitely say a lot
Mm.
about how good of a player he is if like he's won some of those or if he's lost all of them. Amanda Kimmel didn't win any of the ones that she got to, so I'm assuming that's what it is. So so from what I can tell, it seems like Donut definitely has has a really good way of just naturally being likable. That I mean,
Mm.
as he said himself, benefited him. And I don't know, I've seen a lot of players like him before, and they
Mm.
always do extremely well. This sort of social butterfly, well, not social butterfly, because again he mentioned that he sometimes has given the bare minimum of social game and just done well, but rather somebody who's just naturally likable, and
Mm.
has a bit of feistiness to him, but kind of gets away with it. But
Mm.
again, I mean, testament to the fact that he called himself Amanda. Sometimes they also don't garner a lot of respect. So I'm wondering if
Mm.
Donut, if it's true that if he really has lost 3 FTCs in a row, I'm curious to see
Mm.
what he's going to do differently this time.
Yeah, I do wonder that too, because I do obviously he has the potential to get to the end, but it's like, what do you need to do to actually make sure that you deserve the votes? Like what, like like what does he have to change just to make sure that he like basically his jury management.
Mm-hmm.
So I do think again, like because it seems like based on his resume, like he'll go far. It's just more of like how you like go like over that hump basically. But I do think if he does kind of like learn from what he did and like let's say he really hasn't won any of his final tribal councils, and I mean that is a fair point, like Amanda didn't win any of her final tribal councils at all. um, I do think if he can do that, then I think he'll be probably someone that could be a contender of this season. So we'll see.
Mm-hmm. All right. Oh, next up we have Lindsay, who is a really interesting one to me. I think she's going to be a blast no matter what happens. Um, yeah. So as far as Lindsay goes, I think she's probably going to have I think she probably might have a little bit of trouble figuring out how to navigate an org at first, strategy wise. But again, we've seen
Mm,
before with sometimes we have players that kind of come in not entirely sure what they're doing, but
mm,
they have a great start. I mean, it's almost
mm,
similar to what I was saying with Ari, I think, of that, but they have a great start in terms of. I think Lindsay again. I feel like I'm saying this a lot with everybody, but it's true about this cast. I think she just is very likable. She's very funny,
mm,
and I think she also has a trustworthiness about her. Maybe I'm wrong.
mm,
Maybe people won't trust her at all, but I think that she just has this vibe about her that you feel like you can trust her, and that's just what I get
mm,
from. She's very endearing. That's the one word I'd use to describe Lindsay is endearing. What do you think?
mm. Yeah. Um, One thing that I do want to point out is she is a therapist, so I do think, even
Mm-hmm.
though maybe right now she doesn't know what she's doing, I think that could help her, as far as like using like her career as an advantage for that, because normally they are typically like literally like that's their lives. They listen to people, talk about their problems, so I do think like when she does get into the rhythm of the game, I do think she'll probably use that as like again her advantage for that. I do think also because of her saying that she does want to build trust and get to an alliance. I do think like eventually when she does get a ball rolling, she'll do well. I do know there are some people who they happen to do really well in the game, even if they come into the game and they have no idea what to do. I feel like sometimes you don't always need a gameplay movie like like right away. Like it helps, but sometimes there's you know there could be like twists or anything. Like you just never know. So
Mm-hmm.
I do think going off with already said, um she seems like very very likable, and I don't know. I'm really excited to see her play this season.
Yeah. The other thing I forgot to mention as well is that at the very I'm really fascinated by what she says, how she answers question number 7, which is where do you consider the line to be between heroicism and villainy and Survivor, and where do you think you will fall? Her answer is probably my favorite of anybody's, where she says, to me, the line is drawn in malice, and if a move can impact a person's life outside the game, see Varner outing Zeke or the essay from Dan. Everything else is mostly gameplay, and it is what it is. I would never want to be seen as either, honestly, because I can't choose. Everyone loves a good underdog story, but then again, the most infamous players of all time are villains. I think if I lean one way or the other, I would like it to be hero. Um,
Mm.
that is a quote from a winner if I've ever heard one. I think that
Yeah.
some of the best players of Survivor have a moral compass, but also are not afraid to backstab if they have to and do what they got to do and be a little bit villainous.
Mm.
I think that like encompasses the majority of Survivor winners.
Mm.
They're mostly good aligned, but they don't necessarily like want to be just like this perfect pure hero either.
Right. Yeah. That was a perfect way to end Lindsay there. I couldn't say anything better.
Yeah. All right. Next up, we move on to Margalit. I love Margalit so much, but that's my I have a personal adoration for Margalit. You can start off though, Leah.
I will say, I was like, if you want to start, take it away, but no, I will. But yeah, Margaret is, as far as before we decide like who to cast. Yeah, Margaret is great. He definitely talk about being like kind of like a nerd, like one of those like nerdy weirdos. And like what he said. So we were thinking about like Spencer, Aubrey, and Conrad, which that's who he did mention as who he wants to play as.
Margalit
Um
goes by they them pronouns, by the way. I think.
oh, sorry, thank you.
Yeah.
Sorry about that.
No problem. No
So
problem.
yes. So they do now this is kind of interesting, and might be a little upset with me what I'm about to say. So I do think they will do well, but I do think eventually, because it does do seem like they'll be a very likable person, because they're, I don't know, they just seem like an awesome person. I do think eventually that could be a problem. I'm just going based on, like, the other, orgs, and, like, well, we'll get to, like, everyone else in a moment, as far as, like, other people who has, like, experience playing orcs before. um I do think they'll go far in the game, and I do think because of that, like, they're going to be very likable. Obviously, they're going to be very strategic. But I do think eventually it's, like, more of, like how they're going to actually be, I guess, like, if they end up having, like, a threat level, like, how
Mm-hmm.
they will actually, like, maintain it. And that can be pretty hard, and especially because this is their first um org, so it'll be very fun to watch. But that's just my only
Yeah,
concern.
I mean,
Other than
yeah,
that, though, I do
yeah.
think, yeah, they'll be awesome.
And honestly, that's the one thing I would say too. I think that Margalit, if anything, might have a hard time with threat level management. But
Mm,
yeah, they're super intelligent. They have a very like mathematical brain. Um,
mm,
and I mean, yeah, and you see they describe themselves as a nerd. I mean, the way I recruited Margalit, I found them from a Reddit post they made, showing this like crazy complicated statistical chart they made analyzing one of the ship wheel summits from Survivor 42, and like all the possible outcomes that could have happened in the prisoner's dilemma. Um, and I saw that, I
damn.
was like, this person looks awesome. I gotta recruit this person. Um, and uh, and yeah, I don't know. I'm a big Margalit fan. Again, I think they, unless something goes horribly wrong, because you never know. Sometimes, I mean, sometimes in Survivor, just the cards fall a certain way. I mean, it's like
Mm.
yeah, stuttering. Rudy Bosch, Rudy famously said, once a long time ago, that sometimes the first person voted out of Survivor, or one of the first person voted out of a tribe really early on in the game. Sometimes all it takes is just for one person to be in the wrong place at the wrong time, and then a name gets thrown out. Someone says a name,
Mm,
and everyone else is like, "Yeah, sure, that works for me."
mm,
So unless something tragic like that happens, which could happen to almost anybody, um,
right.
I think that Margalit is going to do great. I think that they will bond very well with others. They also, I think, have a very trustworthy and friendly demeanor that I think is going to get them far. And then yeah, I think the one thing standing in their way could be they could get too big for their britches and have a bit of a threat level later on. But time will tell.
Yeah, but yeah, going based on, like, everything you did say, I think Margaret would do well. That's just the only thing. But I do think if they're able to just maintain that and be able to do it, and especially since it's their first game, I think they'll be a very incredible person to watch.
Yeah, and then also one other thing. Also challenges. I predict that Margala is going to be very strong in challenges, which I think is going to
Mm,
contribute to that. That's like, I think the main tipping point that really, that also is making me think about how, yeah, Margalit might end up we might end up seeing Margalit be like a mid merge boot because they're too dangerous.
mm,
But yeah, I
right.
don't know. Other way, let's move along to Melissa. Um,
Yes.
so Melissa
Oh.
is our oldest contestant on the season, I believe. Um, and yeah, I don't know. I got to think a little bit about Melissa. Why don't you go ahead? Because I don't know.
Yeah, so
She's a puzzle.
yeah, she's a puzzle.
Uh huh.
I'm not gonna lie. I guess I love puzzles because I love Melissa. Like, I
Mm-hmm.
think I don't know. Ever since I saw I guess her, like, applying, I just fell in love with her.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I think I just like um, you know, older players, because I do think at times, like, they do, like, sometimes they'll be think people just, like, I guess, like, underestimate them sometimes, like, saying, like, oh, like, can they actually do well in the game, or like, oh, they can be like a gold in the you know, they'll be an easy person to take it. And I'm not saying obviously that's what they did like originally, but like like at least like going to the game. So I don't know. I do like someone like that. Because it just like gives more like a variety when it does come to ages, and it does like kind of help them more as far as like their social game. Like maybe they can like help people with like advices and things like that. But I also like how honest she is about herself. She literally said she describes herself as Karen, funny and low key bitchy. Which I don't
Make
know.
sure you're clear about that. Caring, not Karen.
Oh, sorry,
Yeah,
sorry.
yeah, yeah. Not she's not a Karen.
She's not Karen, you guys. But yeah, so but no, I do like someone like that. Like, they're very nice, but it's like if you do kind of like cross them, like they'll let them know. Like they'll let you know about it. So I do like that. She does watch both the American and Australian version of Survivor. So I think that's like very, very cool. And she does compare herself to her game with Siri and Shawnee as well, which I think those are two very lovable people that everyone loves. So I do think I could kind of see her kind of playing like them. She has been playing two orgs previously, and so she still thinks she is a noob herself. Um, she does want to continue to improve, so I think she'll be someone to watch. And I don't know. I think she's going to be a very entertaining person, to be
Mm-hmm.
honest.
I agree, and yeah. So when I say Melissa's a puzzle, I mean that in like with very positive connotations. I have a hard time. I have a hard time, like, it's just hard to predict how she's gonna do because I mean, like everything you said, she's very likable and very and just seems like she's very savvy. Um,
Mhm.
and and yeah, I don't know. I just like I said, I don't know. I don't really know why exactly, but I'm having a hard time, predicting how she's gonna do. I think I mean, like she said, she's very social game based, which again, as I said earlier, I think in GloomORG 6, social game is gonna be king. Um,
Mhm.
but yeah, I don't know. I'm just I'm a little speechless. I'm a little speechless in regards to Melissa, I guess.
Yeah, you guys, I'm letting you know right now, I am a Melissa truther. I want her to go very far in this
Me
game.
too. Me too.
I do think she could, but I can see why says the way that because I think like people like that, kind of like going based off some other people we've already mentioned as well. Like they do want to talk, like they have like a very social game, but sometimes they can't be a little bit too likable where they can be a threat from that
Mm-hmm.
alone. So I do think if she is able to be able to just bounce that out and also at the same time still be like, maybe people do want to take her to the end because of that, or even like I don't know, like I think she'll be, if she's able to actually just do it very well. And again, because she had like some experience already, so it's not like she's like it's her first game, like she has like a few experience for that. I think she will do very well. But again, I love Melissa, so
Mm-hmm.
again, I'm biased.
Yeah. No, no, I think you're onto something there for sure.
Yeah.
And so yeah, speaking of puzzles, if we thought
Mhm.
Melissa was a puzzle, why don't we move on to Mudstock Bobert? Mudstock Bobert is fascinating to me. Um, and yeah, I like Melissa. I have no idea what's gonna happen with this guy. So like alone, he's going by the name Mudstock Bobert. In his application, he said, my name is Robert, but my nickname is Mudstock Bobert. So I asked him, I was like, well, what do you want your official name to be? And I was almost certain he was just gonna say Robert. And then he's like, call me. I'll go by Mudstock Bobert. So he has a very interesting username. I think it's by far the longest username or longest nickname we've ever had in GloomORG. And he says he wants to play like Fabio, which is something I hear a lot. And I feel like very few times have I ever. I feel like it's really hard to actually emulate a game like Fabio's in an org. Like I don't know if I've ever really seen that happen. Um,
Mhm.
and yeah, I mean, he says he's an insecure genius beanpole, which I don't even know what that means. What even is a beanpole? What is that?
I have no idea.
Yeah. But no, I mean,
But
but no, definitely I know he was getting clowned on a little bit in Spec Club for his name and everything, but no, I really do like I honestly am not putting it past him, and that I think he could actually do well. I mean, he definitely even if he didn't give very long answers, if you read his answers to the questions, he has a game plan. He kind of sort of knows what he's doing.
mm.
So I don't know. He could be first boot, but I honestly would be surprised, or not. No, I would not be surprised, and it would be exciting to see him, maybe make something happen in this game.
Yeah, and like he's all like for his job, he is a well, yeah. So his job, he's an amateur board game designer, and he loves to play board games. So I think those kind of people, they obviously do well with the game, but I think if he does play like Fabio, because like Fabio did kind of play a game where people really thought that he wasn't really that smart, and like that eventually gave him the $1 million, even though we don't have $1 million for anyone, so sorry for that. But I do think though, if he does play like Fabio, and because I don't know, he does seem like he is a funny guy as well. And he said that he wants to, like, he knows, like, he, like, as far as like the hero or villain question, he's like, yeah, I'm a villain. Like, everyone else is like, I think I'm a hero. I could be a villain. No, like, he 100% that he said that he's a villain. So I do think if he's able to do it, at least at the right time, because I feel like at times, like, timing can be important. I think if he's able to do so, I think he'll go far. But I can kind of see, I don't want to like bring any doubt to him. I can kind of see if he ends up being like a pre-jury boot. Like, I hope not, but I do think if he plays his cards right, I think he'll do pretty well.
Yeah. I would love to see Mudstock Bobert be the first one to emulate Fabio and win. That would be amazing.
Yeah, I would say, because I think about it myself. I'm like, I've seen people saying like they want to play like like they want to like not want to seem like they're a smart player, and yeah, like I mean, people will go far, but like I don't. At least in my experience, I never see anyone win.
Yeah.
So
And I
I
think
don't
it also
know.
kind of comes out eventually in an org. Like, it eventually, like, unless you're really good about it, I don't know, information gets around quicker in an org. I
Oh
think.
yeah.
So even when scaled to an actual season of Survivor, just the dynamics of strategy. There's no physical element to it.
Mm,
To talk to somebody, you just click a button. You don't have to pull them off to the side. So it's so
mm,
much easier for information to spread, and I think that's part of why it's really hard to hide who you are. I mean, I tried to do it in
mm,
my org, and I made it to about the final 8 or so, and then
mm.
like my threat level shot up to the roof, because at that point like you can't hide anything really in an org.
Right.
So, but I mean, I don't know. This guy, maybe he'll be able to do it. I would love to see it happen.
Yeah, you and me both, honestly.
All right, let's move on to Parker. A lot to unpack with this guy's confessional. He had by
mm,
far the longest application, so of course I think, and he now has the longest confessional. So he answered these questions very thoroughly,
mm,
which I think just solidifies that he is very dedicated, and that's something I really respect. And I think we will
mm,
probably see that reflected in the. I mean, I don't know. I think it's very likely that Parker is going to keep himself in the game, because he's very active and very thorough and very articulate, and also
mm,
he's not an idiot, so he's not going to like blow himself up or anything. So I
mm,
think so I think if you have those two factors, I think you're almost guaranteed merge. Especially with a lot
mm.
of newbies, I think he has the edge that he is an org veteran as well. He is one of the biggest veterans we have on the cast, I think. Oh no, never
Oh,
mind,
this is the second org, yeah.
never mind. But
You're good,
he
you're
is a
good.
veteran. He got sorry. I think I somehow was mixing him up with someone else further down the list. But no, yeah. Everything else I said stands. And he did get seventh place. So
Mhm.
yeah, I think it still stands that he knows how to play an org. Um, yeah, I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, I'm very, very, very excited to see Parker play. I think because again, like what O already mentioned, they're very, very not only detailed, but their answers are long, and I just love when people do that because you can like actually get to know their actual thoughts in the game and like know like word by word like what they're thinking. So I really do appreciate Parker for that. Um, yeah, I think like as like if Isle takes him out, I feel like that's the only way he could probably not guarantee merge. Like that's like the only thing I can think of. I do think he is um at least like based on like what he did say because again he also plays like board games and like reads and like all that. I do think he will do very well this game. I don't know, like he does seem very down to earth. He I don't know, he seems so smart. Just
Yeah,
like just
he
reading
really
like
does.
his stuff right now, it's just like holy moly, like but I do think um he is someone I want to think that he might actually control his dread level, especially because this is his second org. Maybe he'll learn, like maybe he did learn like a thing or two from that. So if he is able to do so, I think he'll be a force to be reckoned with.
Yeah, I mean he's a teacher, so I think that says something about how he probably is good at interacting with people. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
I'm really excited.
Next on the list we have Raelee. I love Raelee. What do you think?
Yeah, I actually really like her. So she was actually found on Twitter by Kara, and yeah, she's I don't know, she seems like a really really cool person. She is a graphic designer, and this is going to be her first time playing this game as well. Um, yeah, like I don't know, it does seem like she's going to be she is a big fan of this show, and she said that she used to she would watch it every week with her grandma. So I always think it's so cute when someone does watch it, and especially with their family. Um, but yeah, I don't know. She seems I feel like it's like a repeated thing that we've been saying, but I feel like a lot of people in this cast, including her, I do think she'll be a very good social player. Um and I do think they are using that like first, obviously like going to the game as first before they go into like strategy. And that's when she did say like her social game is like where she thinks it is like basically her biggest strength. But yeah, I do think that she wants to make sure that her drip level is also in check. So I do think like she'll probably like once the game does start, she'll like be aware of that, and like if she knows like she's in trouble, she'll be like, "Oh Lord, like what do I do to fix it?" So I do think she'll have like some like game awareness going to this. So I don't know. I do like her though.
Mm-hmm.
I think she'll be like a I think she'll be a really good newbie like coming into this. So I don't know.
Yeah,
I'm excited for her.
yeah. If I were to describe Raelee in one word, I would say intuitive, because
Mm,
so yeah, she is. I forget who I drafted, but I think I only drafted two newbies, and she is one of them. Um,
mm,
yes, I only drafted two, and one's Margalit, and this is the other one because I think Rayleigh, yes, she is a newbie, but I think
mm,
she is picking up on the game of very well. Like I just notice little
mm,
details of how she's picking up on how things work. So for example, she comes in and she her first question, or not her first question, but she emphasizes that she's thinking about okay, well, how is this going to be different from an actual game of Survivor?
mm,
And she says she's been thinking about it a lot, and then it even comes down to the fact that she is using server emojis. When I posted yesterday, as of this recording, when I posted the official start time, she reacted to it with one of the server emojis, which I don't think we've seen any other newbie here use one of the custom emojis like that. I just think I don't know. It's very small, but
Mm,
I genuinely think that those are all signs that I think she is gonna pick up on how this works really well
mm,
and really quickly. And
mm,
again, she has that social factor. I think she's very nice,
mm,
very kind to person, but she considers herself an anti-hero.
mm.
I think we're gonna see a lot of good stuff from Raelee this season.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. I don't know if it's because of the name. I'm not sure, but she does remind me of Ray from Bad Moon, actually, because I feel like Ray was like picking up stuff very well as well, and that was also her first game as well until she got blindsided. Like I don't know, she was like robbed, but that's another story for another day. So I do get those vibes as well from her, and I do think as long as like she doesn't get blindsided in that way, I don't know. She could be like a really, really good contender to win this season.
I would love to see a Raelee win. All right, let's move on to T. Um, T's an interesting one. T's another one that I I'm a little concerned about their performance. I'd love to be wrong, but I
Mm,
think that T might have kind of a hard time with the game in a different way from Blair, and that I don't think T has like a lack of seriousness to them, but I think that
mm,
I think T just might have a hard time bonding with people really well. I think that they seem very quiet even over text. I mean, you see that they type in all lowercase, but one of the main
mm,
reasons that I liked them when they applied, and the reason that I wanted them on the cast, is that they are just they're very sweet. They're a very kind person, and I think I've said that a
mm,
lot. But I noticed that a lot with T. I think T is a very good person, um,
mm,
and uh, and I think they have kind of an interesting way of thinking that I think they will
mm.
bring something to the table. And it's just a matter of if that something is gonna lead to their success in the game or not. What do you think?
Yeah, I actually agree with that. So I want to have faith in T. I think I mean, in reality, I do say that like everyone could go far, but I do think it does depend on how they play the game. I do think though if um because it's like what they said too, like they kind of want to play more like a hero than a villain. So I can see like if they are pretty active and are like actually pretty loyal to the people in this cast and whatever alliance they end up being in, I do think they'll do pretty well in this game. I do think my main concern of that is just in like I don't know, like they seem really sweet. Like I do agree with that, and I obviously want to be proven wrong as well. I just think like everyone else, at least so far that we have talked about, is just like more, I guess, more thorough in their answers, and like you can kind of tell, like even if they don't have like a gameplay or a game plan, I should say, like you at least kind of know what they kind of want. Um, and I mean, T does say that they want to be likable, but it's like everyone wants to be likable in this game, so I do. I don't know. I would love to be proven wrong by T. I actually thought that you would root for T because they happen to also have one letter in their
Everybody
name.
thinks that.
Yeah, but yeah.
I'm not rooting against anybody here. I just,
No, but yeah, but I don't know. I would love to be proven wrong so badly
mhm.
by T.
They have a
And
chance
again,
for sure.
right, T seems like a nice person. I just am scared of how they will perform this season.
Yes. So why don't we move on to Tafkars? I think that's how I'm assuming that's how you pronounce it. Tafkars is one that I have personal experience with. I'm not sure if you know Leah, but he played
Mm,
in my first org that I ever played, and really the only org I played where I wasn't like out immediately of the two I've played. Was I came in fourth and he came in fifth, for perspective.
mm,
And that's a whole other story of my experience playing the game with him. But he was a very prominent player in regards to me during the merge. We had a very kind of up and down relationship. um,
Mm.
and he has. I would love to get insight from Sarah as well, because Sarah has a few funny stories of when she played with him on All Stars. But either way, he is very good at the game and has a very good mind for how it works and is just great at reading people and very strategic. But
Mm.
he also has a bit of kind of Greg Buis in him, I would say. He's kind of
Mm.
all over the place. He's kind of wild and he kind of just plays for fun. So,
Mm.
I don't know. Well, the reason that I bring up Greg Buis is because I remember hearing uh, somebody, I think it might have been Mario Lanza or something,
Mm.
described Greg. Somebody thought that Greg Buis kind of he was from season one. He kind of seemed like he was really smart and probably could have won the game, but
Mm.
intentionally kind of laid back because he didn't really want to. And that's not
Mm.
exactly the same as with Tafkars, but it's that kind of thing. And that, like, I think it's like that meme. It's like that old meme format of where, like, a character uses 10% of their power. I think that's how
Mm.
Tafkars is. So that's why I find him kind of hard to predict how well he's going to do.
Mm.
But either way, I think he's going to be super entertaining, win or lose. I'm excited to watch him play.
Oh yes, for sure. And I don't know, even like because I knew like he would did play Power Work. I had no idea he played with you, so that's kind of cool. Um, but yeah, I I will say he definitely uses his confessionals a lot. I
Uh-huh.
think that's
Yeah.
gonna happen a lot this season, which obviously we love that. Um, I do like though, like how he is basically a distraction for him this season. So I do kind of wonder um I actually did draft him because I was thinking because he is like a vet in the org community. Like he's not like a huge one, but he does have some experience and he has been doing like really well on like most of them. I was hoping the same thing as well. And I do think if he is in a good position, I can see that. But obviously, it does seem like he just wants to have fun. So I do think that he is going to be like very, very entertaining. So I'm really excited to watch him, regardless of like what his game plan really is. But I don't know. I actually do enjoy his confessionals so far. So I don't know. I think he'll definitely. If he does go far in the game, I can see him maybe like I know there's like too much and like too right in advance. I can see him like maybe win some awards to be honest, but
Yeah, for
I don't
sure.
want to get too ahead myself.
No, yeah. Yeah. So, yeah. I don't know. I think that's about all I can say. But yeah, I think he's definitely one to keep an eye on.
Hmm.
So moving along now, we only got two left. Next up, we have Vincent. Um, Vincent is yet another puzzle, in my opinion. What do you think about Vincent?
Man, so I he does say that he is like a pretty nerdy guy, which I do like. I think it's like the same thing with Margalit, in my opinion. I do think if he is able um to because like if he does like very well and like like as far as like competitions or things like that, even though this is also his first org, I can kind of see him do far, but I think like that's like the same thing I have like my only fear, like how I have with Margaret, is like the same thing with Vincent, like how well he will actually like control his threat level if he happens to be like a big threat going into the game. Um, he does I don't know, like he does seem like a pretty um cutthroat kind of person. But in reality he actually wants to have like a clean game. So I don't know. Like mm, I kind of want to say that he'll do well, and I think because of like what he did say about that, and because again he is also like a very big Survivor fan. Um but I don't know. I want to say he goes far, but now think about it, I don't even know myself. Like, I guess
I don't know.
we'll wait and see. I have no idea.
I mean, well, okay, well, we should. You might have mentioned this, and I might have missed it, but he's a lawyer. He's an attorney as well, which is very
Mm,
interesting to me. Did you
mm.
bring that up?
I didn't bring that up.
Oh, okay, yeah. Yeah, so I just think that's interesting. I don't think we've ever had a lawyer play GloomORG before, and
Mm,
we've had them play on, we've seen that on Survivor before. But I think that's a very interesting occupation. Maybe that could come into play. And yeah, I don't know.
mm,
It's really hard to say because on one hand, I think Vincent, I actually could think he could like maybe even slide under the radar and
mm,
be kind of an under the, like almost Woody, almost kind of like vaguely remind, not again, not exactly the same because there's some key
mm,
differences, but he kind of reminds me of Tanner a little bit. um
mm,
However, we also have these facts of like of how he describes himself as curious, anxious, and competitive,
mm,
and how he kind of wants to be a conniver and a schemer. So it really depends on how he does that. That I think, I think he's going to be either under the radar or over the radar, and I think if he's under the radar, I think he could be a winner, and I think if he's over the radar, he might his days might be numbered because I think he could be kind of over the top and be seen as a threat. I could see him again. I could see him being a big villain, or I could see him being, not as big of a character. So I don't know.
right. Yeah, I don't know. He's definitely a wild card, but I think he'll be someone to still like. I think he'll still be like fun to watch, and
Oh,
especially
absolutely.
because you did say that he is a lawyer, and I know like normally with that they typically do well. Well, I'm thinking about like Xavier from like Big Brother, but which is a completely different show. But yeah, I do think if he is able to maintain that, and especially because like if he knows there's like like let's say like they like he goes like further the game and there's like happens to be people that are bigger threats to him, I can at least see him maybe going behind them, kind of like what you said about Tanner. Like there was like so many like at least like on my season, like there was like a lot of like chills on him, and eventually it was like a little too late to get him out, that he ended up winning. So I can see Vincent in that aspect, but again I think it just depends on how people just perceive him. So I think he'll be the one to watch, but I think at the same time it's like I don't know, I guess we just have to wait until the season starts.
Yeah, for sure. I want to keep an eye on him.
Right.
So we have our last but not least, we have Xander. Um, so Xander, well, I don't know. I'll let you go first. What do you think of Xander, Leah?
Okay, I know this is like a bad thing to say right off the bat, but his pit crew, like, it's just a neck. I don't like where's the neck? That was just like the first thing
He
I
has
just
no neck.
like
Yeah, it's okay.
realized, and
He's a he's just he's got a bit of magic going on there. We don't gotta
yes,
worry about it. Oh, okay, I know
yes,
what it
he's a
is.
musician.
He has a rare medical condition where everything aside from his head is invisible. He's fine. Don't be alarmed. He has a neck. You just can't see it. That's all.
Yeah. You know what? You're right. Oh, I shouldn't have said that. Anyway, but no, I honestly with Xander, they are so. First of all, he is a computer tech from Google, which I think that is so cool. Um, and if my mom is hearing this, she'll be very jealous. But anyway, but yeah, so he is. This is also he is also a newbie, which again, obviously there is so many newbies this season, which makes this way more exciting as well. He did binge 31 seasons of Survivor in 7 months straight, so he definitely has a lot of dedication to the show itself. So I think that'd be kind of cool. He did say his strategy going to the game is a bit difficult to think about because if he was playing with quote dum dums, then he wouldn't play each one of them to the end. But he doesn't think he will, so he would like probably ride the way and make it as far as he can.
That's
To be
good that he notices that though. I'm glad that he notices. He probably won't be. If you're playing in an org, most people aren't going to be dum dums. Most people.
right, exactly. I think that's the thing too. Like once you're like playing the org and like you have experience, like I know for most of them they're like newbies, but I do think once you pick up on things, like they are very smart people. Like it's kind of insane. So I do think he'll do pretty well at the game. I think like I will admit, like as far as that, I want to say he'll do well, but I think compared to like, everyone else, like I think he does have a lot of competition. So I do think that he has like some like the same what's the word? I can't think right now. Like he's like I guess he like has like some similarities from like certain people like Vincent and
Oh yeah.
Margalit. I do think he has that. But I guess my only problem is like I don't know. I think it's just going to be there's going to be a lot of competition. So I think
Yeah.
again, kind of like how I mentioned about other ones as well, is like it depends on how well they play and like just their position in the game.
Yeah, I don't know. I think Xander is gonna be someone who I think I don't know. It's kind of hard to say, but I think that we're gonna see Xander probably. I mean, yeah, obviously, I can't we can't say anything about the tribes, but depending on who he's with, I could see him
Mm,
being because I not sidekick isn't the right word because he's not a sidekick, but I think he's
mm,
going to be a very good alliance member. I guess is the best way I could put it. I
mm,
think I see Xander, getting himself if, and I think he will. He gets himself into a solid alliance. I think
mm,
he'll go very far, and I think it's going to come down to killer instinct. Will he,
mm,
make the moves he needs to give himself a resume to win? I don't know. I
mm.
could be way off there. I do want to mention also the three words he uses to describe himself as are extravagant, petite, and a juggernaut, which is insane. That's like one of my favorite ones we've ever seen. I don't even like what does that even mean? He's very interesting. He's a really interesting person, and I think that we're not seeing all of Xander from this little confessional here. So I don't know. As I've kept saying, I think time will tell with this one.
Yeah, I was thinking the same because I don't know, like I guess like reading his confessional, he does sound like he would be a good player, but it's just like so little. So it's like he is, in my opinion, as of now, a bit predictable. But I do see him doing pretty well if, like what you said, like if he was like in a good like alliance and everything, and like let's say he wasn't like the front runner of that alliance, but at least like he was like in the back seat, and like eventually if he does the right moves, just so then so then like, he could potentially win. I can see that, but again, I think it's more of like we'll see how it goes, but we don't really have that much from him
Mm-hmm.
yet. But
Yeah.
it doesn't mean we don't think that he's gonna do well. It's just more of like we'll figure out when the season starts, which
Yeah.
is tomorrow at the time this is recording.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm gonna have to get this out soon, but yeah. Yeah. So that is everybody. I think this is a super dynamic cast. I am super excited. I can't wait to see how all the players interact with each other. I can't wait to see what happens. I think it's gonna be it's gonna be an all out war, and I'm super excited. I can't wait.
Yeah, I'm very excited too. And I think it's because I think not only because of this cast, but because everyone has been begging over and over and over again for a return season. Even though it's not a full return season, this is like literally our first season with returnees. So I think it even makes it even more exciting as well. So
Yeah.
I really think this season is going to be very fun to watch. And I don't know. I think everyone needs to tune in and
Mm-hmm.
just enjoy the roller coaster with us.
Yeah. Who's your winner pick, Leah?
I can't believe you already asked me this, man. Okay, I think I mean, in all honesty, I mean, this is from my draft, but I'm just gonna again, I'm a Melissa truther. I'm gonna go with Melissa. I absolutely adore her. I will say my close second after now talk about it though. I do think Raelee would do well. I
Mm-hmm.
do think I can just see her like just probably play this game beautifully. To the point where I do feel like a lot of people, although it is their first time playing, I do think they'll probably be like really big threats, and I think like people will think she'll be, but not until it's too late. So I can see her like doing very, very well. So I don't know. Those are my two for sure. But again, I love Melissa, so Melissa's my number one.
Yeah. I think I am gonna stick with my draft too and say Margalit, but because yeah, I don't know. I just think I just get really good vibes from them, you know, and
Mm,
and I mean every once in a while, or I guess very often in our seasons, we'll have a newbie on the cast, and I'll look at them and I'll just have I get this sixth sense that they're gonna do well, and
mm,
that sixth sense it's never been wrong, but it's never
mm,
but they've never been the winner either, but like very often my winner picks have done well, um or at
mm,
least in the first three seasons they did, and I'm getting that same feeling with Margalit. Like I just think Margalit is going to get super far, and again it's going to be a case of if they can manage their threat level. But I think
mm.
my second choice, I agree with you. Raelee is also on my draft, and I have very good thoughts about Raelee. But really, there's so many people here. There's so many players on here that have have reasonable chances to win. Like
Mm,
because like almost everybody we've said like they have a chance, and I really mean that. Like I'm not just trying to be like
mm.
nice. Like I really think that more than half of this cast could realistically win.
Right. Even the returnees as well.
Mm-hmm.
I do
Yeah.
think kind of like going back to my like point in the beginning, I do think um at least like with some like of the returnees, I don't want to say all, but like I do think with some of the not returning, sorry, some of the newbies, I think they're going to just at first overpass that they have played before and that they have almost won the game just because they simply just never saw them play before, so they don't know what is like how they actually played before. So I do think, I think even the returnees themselves have a good chance of winning. Obviously, they might have a tad bit more of like, like they just have to like work a little harder than everyone else, but I don't think it's that badly to the point that like maybe they could be targets right away. So
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm really excited.
Yeah, I'm really excited too. I think time could not time. I meant to say I think anything could happen. Um, all right, yeah, I think that's about all we got for you. If you stuck around for this whole hour plus long recording and listened, thank you so much. Hopefully, you enjoyed mine and Leah's insight, and hopefully some of what we said will enrich your experience watching the season. Um, yeah, see you guys later.
Yeah, see ya. Have a good weekend.